Hi, everybody. Welcome to Giant Jack, founder and president of Giant Jack's Media. We're helping others to grow and nurture their businesses. And this is my channel to bring you interesting people doing great work. And certainly Hal Brody is one of them. Welcome, Hal.
Thank you, Paul. Good to be here.
Yeah, and Hal, obviously we've known each other for a bit, and I just am always enthralled by what you're doing, your background, very interesting. So I want to get into that. Hal's a Vistage chair in the Bay Area, here, San Francisco Bay Area. But Hal, I want to start, before we get into your practice, your career. It's fascinating to me, but a little bit about your career and what you've done.
Well, sure. While I was in college in St. Louis, and some buddies and I were sitting around uh, trying to not go to class, and we came up with an idea. This was 1971, that we wanted to get into the music business.
Yeah.
A friend of one of theirs had a record store down in Lawrence, Kansas. We discovered he was getting ready to close. So he agreed to load everything up in a U-Haul truck, drive it down to St. Louis, and before you know it, the four of us owned a record store. We proceeded to do everything wrong for quite a while, but it was a good location overall. It was a small space, and we just took turns working it. And it eventually grew. Grew quite a bit. We ended up buying a wholesale record company that distributed small labels. It was a lot of fun. I had a falling out with those partners, and
Yeah.
at some point, and I took the less valuable part, the wholesale, and moved from St. Louis to Kansas City, and got back into retail. And again, continued. We were in the right spot at the right time, and it grew quite a bit. And that was until 1989. I was going through a divorce with 4 kids under 5 years old.
Hi.
Uh,
Yep. Yeah.
yeah.
Your plate was full.
Yeah, it was, as I like to say, probably the worst and best thing that ever happened. What ended up happening is that I ended up selling my stores back to my old partner, who I had had the falling out with, but it gave me enough money and income from a stream of income from it that I was able to stay home with the kids for 5 years
Oh, wow.
at a critical stage in their life.
Yep.
One was just starting kindergarten. So as that proceeded, and as the kids started to get back in school, one of the businesses that I had kept was a little newsletter that was meant just to generate traffic for our record stores, and I got back involved with that, and it grew to be one of the largest free alternative news weeklies in the Midwest. We ended up
That's amazing.
distributing
Yeah.
125,000 copies a week.
And how the revenue from that comes from ads, right? Those free weeklies.
I'm sorry, what?
The revenue comes from ads.
All ads, it was free
all ads.
weekly. But we're, again, timing wise, we were in a great spot. The dailies were starting to only appeal to an older demographic. There were papers like ours in every major city in the country.
Yep.
Village Voice was kind of the classic in New York. Out here in the Bay Area, it was the Bay Guardian.
Yeah, I know it well.
And we reached the younger market that was, out spending money at restaurants and bars and various boutique retail. So we were reaching the right market, and people started buying a lot of advertising. We started to get, cigarettes and alcohol from the national people, and then a lot of the smaller retailers. So that grew quite a bit. And come 2000, I was actually, or 99, actually, I was getting remarried, and there were two groups that were consolidating these types of papers, and they both came to me at the same time. They both wanted to buy me out. And I told them to go away. I was having a good time. Call me in 2 years. And one of them wouldn't go away, and they finally, gave me a number I couldn't resist. So I sold it. I stayed home trying to blend the family. That didn't work quite as well, but I got to do a few other things during that period. I got into the tea business, opened a small chain of tea shops, which allowed me to travel the world to China and India and learn about tea. Fascinating subject, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess hospitality wasn't really my game per se. Really what it all came down to, I did a lot of real estate stuff, but the one thing I learned is that every every success and failure in my life was the same. It was about the people that I had around me. The tea business, I picked the wrong person to be the manager.
Yeah.
The record business, I picked the right people. The newspaper, I had the right people. Not always at first, but over time.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, the next step was as my kids got into college or beyond, I was looking for what was fun, and it was the newspaper. So with some partners, I bought a similar paper out here in the Bay Area with them. I mean, I was I don't know, 30% of it, but I was managing it. It was called the East Bay Express. It was 2007, and we already knew that by then the internet had taken over a lot of the business. We had made the classified money had all gone to Craigslist,
Oh, yeah.
and the singles money had gone to Match.com. But I was looking at that point in my life as kind of the retirement gig. But 2008 kind of turned the whole world upside down, and I had to take it from 45 down to 14 employees. And I got it into the black by 2009. And one of my partners that I hadn't known from before wanted to know where his dividends were. I had just worked 2 years without a paycheck, and I let him know that I had never reminded him I never asked for a cash call, and that and you're welcome.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, he and I got into it. He wanted me to buy him out. I said, fine, but one of us, it's not worth what we paid. So I said, here's the number, you can pay me, or I can pay you. And he ended up buying me out at that level,
Wow.
which was fine, because the next step was to get married again and being recruited by Vistage.
Yep.
So now,
Yep.
it's 2012. I'm in my 60s by now. And Vistage comes along, and they recruit me. And I had been recruited by consulting companies in the past, but one of my sons is a researcher, political researcher, usually opposition research. But anyway, whenever anybody approached me, I would ask my son, "What do you think of these guys?" And most of the time, every other time, as a matter of fact, he would come back to me and say, "Dad, you're too good for them," which I love to hear, of course. Except Vistage, he said, "You know what? That might be a good fit." And it turns out he was right.
Yeah. Yeah. So you jumped into Vistage, and you started building your chief executive group.
I started, they wanted me to do a small business group because that was
Okay.
really more my background. Although
Right.
the biggest company I ever built was the record business, which did get to 35 stores, and the wholesale business. We were doing about 90 million a year.
Yeah. That's not a
But
small
they
mom and
wanted
pop.
me, yeah, they wanted me to do small business, which was fine because I'm comfortable in that. And that's what I did. And we did a small business group, and then I was able to build that pretty fast. Then they asked if I wanted to do a chief executive group. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. And what happened is I cannibalized some of my small business members. And I was left with the chief executive group also got built pretty quick. The small business had kind of gotten smaller, and with the suggested help from some of my colleagues, other chairs in the area, I decided to morph that into more of a hybrid small business key executive group,
Oh, okay.
which worked out fine. It was a great group of folks, and but very different issues than the chief executive.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah. And how does it work? So now you've got the groups, and you're meeting monthly. What's going on in those monthly meetings?
Well, it's funny. I mean, we do all the usual things you would expect. I mean, in a business group, people bring their issues, and whatever they are, whether it's personnel or finance or any of the business stuff that you might expect. And we have several very good ways to process it. And the point, of course, is how do all of us are a lot smarter than any of us. So having
Yeah.
15 brains work on an issue, you come up with a lot of different ideas that you might not
Yeah.
on your own, or even in a one-to-one, which I do with each of them every month. Any of the strategic stuff, I always make sure we bring it to the group. The tactical stuff, I might try to come up with some answers between the two of us in our one-to-one. But if it's a longer term thing, I want the help of the group. So we process the issues. We
Like
come,
what? What are the issues? What are the issues? Give me an example of
it
issues that
can,
come
well,
up.
that's the fun part. It can range. I mean, every meeting, there's always a few, depending on, should I fire my CFO? What about, how do I decide to add this new product? Do I decide to acquire a company? Um, gosh, I got an HR problem. I got a person working for me that is really productive, but also toxic to the other people. I mean, it goes all the usual stuff that
Yeah,
we all deal with every day. And then, of course, to be honest, for me, the personal stuff that is more fun for me. Although
yep,
I love what's evolved over time is that I think what's happened is that people who stay with my group and who get attracted to it have big hearts. And
yeah, yeah.
they really do care about each other. So maybe an issue might be this, my son has an alcohol problem.
Right, right.
I don't know if my marriage is going to last.
Which impacts the business. It's not unrelated, right? I mean, these things go together.
Well, it affects, yeah, it affects everything. Oh,
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah,
unfortunately, I have some experience where I was unable to work, as I mentioned earlier, when I was
yeah.
through the divorce with 4 kids under 5 years old. So
Yeah, but
what's the,
people are coming in there and they are opening up and it's collaborative and stuff's getting solved.
yeah, and of course, because they're all humans, they all have experience in all of those issues. They have
Yeah.
experience, of course, with their own business experience, but they also have the personal trauma that every one of us has to go through to make it, that we get.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We've all got our story, and then you're meeting one to one, and you go in there. You made a good comment there. You do the tactical stuff one to one because you got to get into the trenches with somebody on a particular issue.
Yeah, if it's technical, kind of day-to-day type issues, we're going to do our best. Uh, what would I say is tactical? Um, kind of hierarchy might be, so, who should I put in charge of this? Does it make sense for me to, if it's smaller kind of ideas that you need some stuff the two or three of us can, or, and sometimes I do triads, can come up with some good ideas, we'll take it. But usually the bigger ideas like, whether they should bring in a whole new software system,
Yeah,
all
yep.
that kind of stuff. We want to hear from everybody and their experiences with what they know and who are the consultants that they talked to in the past, and have you thought of this? Have you tried that? Here's what worked for me. Here's what didn't. So
Yeah, no, I love all that stuff, and I've gotten a chance talking to you to get some insight into that and how you run your groups. Who are you looking for now? Yeah, do you have open seats, and what's the best fit?
yeah, I do have open seats. There have been some good reasons why people have left. There have been a couple of sales, a couple of retirements, and yeah, the people that I think fit the best in my group, like I said, they're people that are very human, who care
Yep,
about who will be contributing to the rest of the group. Their businesses usually are large enough minimum. I've got some people as small as 3 million annually. Probably the median is more in the 15 million. I've got a $50 million company. I had a $500 million company. So it's a big range of potential, but mostly it's about having enough experience in business world to be to help out each other, and to be willing that you're there to contribute to others' success. Not
yeah, and I know that you don't have competing, industries in there. So, are there specific industries you already have that you're not looking for?
well, it's funny. I mean, I've got several engineers, but they all do different types of
Different,
engineering.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I've got, blue collar type businesses, people who clean refineries. I got people who are distributors into the semiconductor world. I got people who manufacture uh, fasteners, nuts, bolts, screws, um, solar attachment pieces. like I said, so there's service, there's a lot of, I'd say that at this point is about probably 40% services, 30% distributing, and maybe the other 30% kind of a manufacturing, smaller manufacturers. Probably the thing that I don't have right now that I would really love is I usually like to have a construction person.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the 500,000 guy actually. But we've had smaller construction people, and I've had niche construction like a electrical contractor. I think we would love to have somebody like that again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I want to tell everybody too, wherever you're listening to this, because we simulcast this on a lot of different channels, is Hal's information will be around this stream. Get connected with him, and there's a way to reach out and get to know Hal. I highly encourage it. It's a good guy to be connected to. And Hal, I obviously goes without saying, you're happy to get on a Zoom and talk to somebody, figure out, hey, here's what we're doing. Tell me about your business. Is it a good fit?
It's my most fun thing. I love to hear, even whether they join my group or whether they're a right fit for it. I love hearing people's journeys,
Yeah,
hearing
yeah,
people's story.
yeah.
I think that, and I'm just connecting with people. I think that goes back to my schizophrenic mom. I need to connect with people. It's an internal craving of mine to some extent. So.
That's another episode, schizophrenic, parents. We'll cover that. Hal, this is great. Love it. Thanks for doing this. Thanks everybody for listening. And yeah, Hal, I know you and I will be talking again soon.
Sounds good, Paul. Thanks.
All right.